Yesterday evening I was walking down toward Lock House 8 on the towpath, and I saw 3 deer. In the 50s, we didn't see any deer because if there were any deer around, people ate them. And we didn't see the great blue herons and the egrets because I guess if they came along, somebody would have eaten them. So the times were really different. Our house was in Cabin John, Maryland. It was right along the C&O Canal. That's the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal. Now it's a national park and only the blockhouses remain. The C&O Canal runs for 185 miles from Georgetown all the way up to Cumberland, Maryland. There were a series of locks that helped the mule-pulled barges be able to move uphill and downhill. Our family lived right next to Lock 8 in the 1940s and 50s.
The house was built in 1939 by Daddy and his friends. A lot of the materials came from houses that were being large, old, expensive houses that were being torn down in Georgetown. Daddy said that a lot of the material came from the Francis Scott Key house that was being torn down. The thing of it is, Daddy was always a bit of a jokester, so you never really knew for sure about the Francis Scott Key house or some of the other things like that that he might say. I do know that we had cherry wood floors, we had mahogany wainscoting in the living room, and we had a beautiful big fireplace, huge fireplace.
Beautiful fireplace.
I was born in '39, right after the house was built.
And I am much, much younger.
Not that much. There were other houses down in that area. The Park Service didn't own the property at that time. It was owned by the B&O Railroad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't know that. Cabin John in those days was made, sometimes it was called Dog Patch. It had people who were very rich, and then it had people who were poor.
Very poor.
There were like these guys who would make this hard cider, there
were those. There were a few folks involved in some moonshine.
The moonshine folks in this area, yeah. And
that isn't so far away.
Marrying at 13, there were
that was
people,
unusual.
Not that unusual. It was much more usual than now.
Oh. Now they don't bother getting married.
Right, that's true. I learned to swim when I was 2. And I really had to because I guess one time, I wasn't quite 2 yet, but I actually fell into the canal and the girl next door who was 13 jumped in the canal and saved me.
We did stop swimming in the canal. It had become very polluted.
Yeah. When Christine was little, the barges were in use.
Yes, they were in use up until 1942 when there was really a very, very serious flood. Interestingly enough, a flood that is not mentioned very often in the history of the canal, but it was a very serious flood. These are pictures from our childhood. That's me and Mom.
Yeah. And so this is a picture of the house, I guess in the summertime with the boat in front of it.
And the trees and leaf.
Yeah.
The house was torn down in
1956. That's when it was.
56 when it was torn down? Okay.
Yeah.
There are certain things that my brain refuses to remember. Yeah.
It was eminent domain, and the Dulles Toll Road, no, not the Dulles sewer pipe was coming through
Dulles,
that.
it's called the Dulles Interceptor.
Most likely they would have torn it down anyway, eventually because of the park. But there are places further up along the canal where people got the right to stay in their house until they died. And that didn't happen.
Life estate.
Yeah, that didn't happen for us. Daddy painted the house, the outside of the house, in hopes that that would keep them from choosing to tear our house down, but it was all for nothing. That was a really, really devastating experience for our family.
It was devastating is a good word, and yeah.
Yesterday evening I saw 3 deer. So it's really kind of exciting to see these beautiful birds and eagles and herons and the deer. I know there's gets to be too many deer, but it's kind of wonderful to see all these animals that are able to be here now.